like I call it princess treatment because a queen and a princess are like two different things to me. The queen is in charge. She is bothered. She is busy. She is controlling. She is figuring things out. She is having to, control a kingdom. A princess, unbothered. She doesn't have to worry about a single thing.
Hello and welcome to Unreligiously. My name is Lauren, and if you're new here, I'm someone that grew up deeply embedded in evangelical culture. Think Bible memorization, youth group, modesty talks, the whole thing. And now I try to make space for conversations that deconstruct those messages with curiosity and compassion and space for all of the nuance. Today we are going to be talking about the world of a woman named Courtney Palmer. You may have seen her on TikTok sharing something that she calls princess treatment. Some people online have dubbed her Princess Collarbone, but let's be clear from the start. We are definitely not here to mock her body, or her looks. That's not what this video is about or this space is about. However, we are going to look closely at the ideas that she's promoting, because while they might seem niche or even just silly when you first look at them, they actually tap much deeper into familiar thought processes around gender roles, femininity, and religion. So who is Courtney? She's a Utah-based influencer who's in her late 30s, who's been married for nearly 2 decades. She has kids, and recently she started sharing content that blew her channel up, especially this 29-part TikTok series about what it means to be treated like a princess.
Happy Valentine's Day. I thought today would be the perfect first lesson in princess treatment because we're probably getting flowers, we're probably getting cards, or being taken out to dinner. Men have egos that you need to feed. You need to make him feel like whatever he's done is the best thing in the world, like he's the greatest guy. You could not have asked for more. It's so amazing. So the next time he does something, it's going to be bigger, it's going to be better, and he's going to want to do it because the reaction he gets out of you is so incredible. He likes that feeling. He likes feeling like he did a good job. He likes feeling like he's the best.
We are talking about things like not speaking to waitstaff when you go out to a restaurant, letting your husband order for you, receiving gifts without asking, and cultivating what she calls a soft feminine energy.
Never open a door for yourself. When you're going into a restaurant, don't open the door. Coming out of a restaurant, don't open a door. Stand there. Wait till he comes. Let him open it. This includes a car door. I will sit in the car until he comes and opens that car door for me. Sometimes I have to wait a minute, but I do not get out until he comes over. Same with getting into the car. Do not get into the car until he comes and opens the door. Just stand there until he comes and opens the door. Third thing, I will not order my own food at a restaurant. I tell him what I want, and then he can tell the waiter what I want to eat. That's a little weirder, but I randomly just started to have him carry me places. Like today after lunch, I was like, I don't feel like walking to the car. He just carried me to the car. Last is pretty common, but I do not pay for anything. Like I don't even attempt to get out my wallet. All these things I did without announcing. I just decided one day I was going to do them, and I just did it. Stopped ordering my food, told him what I wanted, would just sit in the car until he would come over. I think like the very first time, and even sometimes later, I'll just sit there for like 3 minutes.
And look, I know that on the surface, it does sound a little out there, but beneath the aesthetic, beneath the pearls and the clean kitchens, the healthy eating routines, Courtney's message, things like not speaking to waitstaff and cultivating what she calls a soft feminine energy. And look, I know that that sounds a little bit out there, but beneath the aesthetic, beneath the pearls, the clean kitchens, the healthy eating routines, Courtney's message has resonated with a lot of people, and we have to see that. Some people find it empowering, and some people call it anti-feminist. Some people are just a little bit confused. So today we are going to talk about what she's doing with her content. We're going to take a nuanced look at what's going on here, and we'll talk about the gender expectations that is completely baked into her content, where it overlaps with evangelical cultural norms. Even though I believe that she is from a Mormon background, there is a ton of crossover between Mormon experiences and evangelical Christian experiences, and so we'll talk about how that cultural influence could be playing a role. We'll also talk about how feminism and faith can intersect here and what this soft life messaging is really doing to real women. And just one more time, this is not about Courtney personally. I don't know her heart, I don't know her full story, but I do recognize the cultural scripts that are playing out in her content. Scripts that I was handed, that you were probably handed growing up in a church setting. And if you're someone who is raised in a faith tradition, especially one that emphasized traditional gender roles, you might hear a lot of familiar things throughout this video. Let's start out by talking about softness. Courtney talks a lot about leaning into your femininity.
So I told my husband maybe like 3 or 4 weeks ago, I said, I don't feel like you're giving me enough flowers. I don't feel like you're writing me enough notes. And he was like, well, I think about it. And I said, well, thinking about it isn't really doing it. And if you really wanted to, you would. And this is my love language, okay? Like, little gifts, writing a note. If you write me a note, it'll be your best friend forever. And anyways, I feel like I was a little mean and it was a little harsh, but ever since then I have been getting flowers weekly.
I think a lot of us probably at some point in our lives have kind of gotten the appeal to that. Life is really hard, and we're living in a world that tells women they have to grind and hustle and compete. It can make the idea of being taken care of in a way feel like, a relief. There's nothing really wrong with that softness or with wanting that sort of dynamic in your relationship. I truly don't think there's anything wrong with that. There is a beauty to, that kind of softness. But the question that I want to ask is, are we really talking about softness and femininity, or is this just a new type of pressure, a new type of role to fill? Let's go back to one of her most viral videos. In it, she explains that she doesn't speak to waitstaff, doesn't make eye contact with them, and lets her husband handle everything.
So sometimes if I'm showering with my husband, I'll just make him wash my whole body. I'll start it with oh, can you wash my back for me? But then I'll just make him wash all of me. Can't get all the armpit hair in my armpit for some reason. It's hard to do by myself. So then I'll make him shave my armpits. The other thing that I will not do is turn off my own lamp at night. I make him get up and walk around the bed. This one's obvious, but just in case nobody is doing this, don't take out the trash. Make him do that. I do not leave my house after 4 p.m. 3:30 really. Okay, other just basic ones just in case you're not doing this already is I do not make any sort of dinner reservation or just really any sort of reservation. I also don't deal with a bank.
Literally everything. It's part of her belief that a feminine woman doesn't need to handle logistics or make too many decisions. She presents this not just as a kind of preference, but almost like a pathway to divine favor, luxury, and romantic success. And again, to be clear, if someone chooses that dynamic in a loving, healthy relationship, that's their business. But when those choices get framed as moral imperatives or start being seen as signs of true femininity or worth, we start treading into territory that is just inherently harmful and that many of us recognize: religious gender norms. Now, Courtney herself wasn't raised evangelical. She seems like she grew up Mormon, she got married in the temple, or in some kind of a Latter-day Saints adjacent culture, which definitely does have its own unique elements and dynamics. But as someone that was raised evangelical, I can tell you there is a lot of overlap in the gender expectations between those two worlds. Whether it's biblical womanhood or the Mormon ideal of eternal motherhood, the message is often the same. Your highest calling is to be a soft, submissive, nurturing woman who is differential to a man. It's not a fringe idea. This has been mainstream in a lot of American religious groups for a long time. And what we're seeing now is a version of that same message, but just filtered through TikTok, manifesting culture and aesthetic trends.
My husband has been gone for 3 weeks. It's every other week he's having to go somewhere. Okay, ready to go. It's his second trip within the month. And he's packing and I very calmly say, you've been traveling a lot. I would love for you to get creative with how you're gonna pay me back for all the extra labor that I've been putting in while you've been gone. And so he's like, okay, yeah, that sounds fair. He leaves to go on the trip. I assume I'll get a little gift when he comes back. And he calls me while he's there. And he's like, hey, I'm at the Chanel. What size ballet flat are you? When I pick him up from the airport, he has this bag waiting for me.
Courtney talks about manifesting a Birkin bag. She talks about divine feminine energy and the law of attraction. And while that language does feel secular or, new age, modern on the surface, it's often working towards the exact same traditional end, which is a gendered hierarchy where men lead and provide and women support. The question that I want to ask today is this: when does softness become self-erasure?
Leveling up your princess treatment, you're going to act unbothered by things. You're not going to send him 20 paragraphs explaining how you feel. You're not going to whine and cry and be hysterical about things that he's done or hasn't done. Unbothered. For example, my husband was at a work dinner this week. He said he'd be home at 6. It was 7 o'clock. I did not text him. I'm not going to bother him while he was at this work dinner. I was not going to be hounding him, asking when he's coming home. I didn't say a word. So when he came in at 7, we were busy. I was working on one of my clients' projects. My son was doing Legos. We were watching a movie. He came in. Life went on without him. And that's how you want him to feel. You want him to feel like he's grasping for your attention.
When does the choosing to let go of control become conditioning? And what does it mean to deconstruct our beliefs when they're repackaged as lifestyle advice? This is about looking at how religion, gender, and cultural pressure can show up even after we think that we've left it behind. Because just like many ex-evangelicals who still find purity culture lurking in their self-worth or in the background, we still see gender norms reemerge in new costumes. The idea of princess treatment is not new. It's just the latest iteration of something that's been repackaged for every single generation.
I don't want to think too hard. I'm already managing the logistics of my household, of my son's school calendar, social calendar, our social calendar. The handyman has to come over. We need to go to the doctor. We need to book this ticket, whatever it may be. I'm already handling all those logistics. So when we go to dinner or I go to coffee or we are picking something up or whatever it may be that he's with me, I'm going to turn my brain off. I don't have a wallet. I don't know where we're going. I'm not concerned about someone potentially hitting us. My husband's driving. I don't need to be concerned. I don't need to be worried about the homeless guy screaming who's coming towards us. My husband's going to take care of it. My brain is off. So it's for fun. Like when I go into a restaurant, he opens the door for me and I can just walk in and be cute and be a princess. I love that. Actually, this is really funny. We go to this same restaurant pretty consistently, and the way the doors work, there's 2 doors to get in. There's a vestibule and then another door. And so I walk in first, and then the hostess wants to greet me first, but then my husband comes in and I put my arm through his elbow hook, and she's asking me the reservation. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know why I'm here. But when he's with me, I'm like, talk to him. Ask him the reservation. And think what you will of this, but I will just kind of look at, she'll ask, and then I'll just look at my husband and I let him respond because he made the reservation. He took the time to organize that, and he's excited to take me out, and he wants to go in and say, reservation for whatever. He wants to be the man. I'm not going to be taking over a reservation for it. I'm not saying you can't talk to me. You can approach me and talk to me. But he wants to be the one to give the reservation detail. He wants to be the one to be like, I'm here with my princess and I want to take her for a martini. So are there situations where don't talk to my husband, talk to me? Of course, when we go this weekend to pick out the rest of our outdoor furniture at our age, don't listen to him. What I say goes.
In evangelical spaces, it was often cloaked in biblical womanhood. Be gentle, be modest, be a helper. Proverbs 31, but make it aesthetic, make it Pinterest. In Mormon spaces, you get a really similar playbook, just with different vocabulary. Things like eternal companion or divine femininity. It's not surprising that Courtney is drawing from that type of verbiage, even if she isn't explicitly quoting scripture. It's the same kind of undercurrent, that womanhood is a soft performance meant to orbit around your husband.
So a huge part of getting your princess treatment is the way that you talk to your husband, the way that you talk to your boyfriend, pouring into him in a positive way. So we've talked a lot about not nitpicking him and not mothering him, kind of the things not to do. Men really love words of affirmation. They love to be complimented. They love to have their egos boosted, especially by their wife. And it's really so simple to do this. Men have to buy us flowers and take us to dinner and provide for us. They have to do a lot for us to feel like a princess. For a man to feel like he's loved and taken care of and like you're a safe space for him, it really is kind of just so easy and simple. So words of affirmation, things I like to say to my husband, like when he's getting dressed for work, I'll be like, oh, and you can be so cheesy about this, guys, like be flirty, be romantic, be cute, like, oh, you smell so you smell so delicious, like, oh, you smell so good, I love that. He's a big cologne guy though, he loves cologne, so I'll be like, you smell so good, like it smells so manly, you know, like, oh, I love this outfit, you look so good, your muscles look so big. It's so silly, but like they eat it up. I'll say, thank you so much for taking out the trash. Like I love the way you provide for us. I love that I can stay home with our son. I love that I get to be a stay-at-home mom. You're such a good provider. You provide so much for us. You know, look at all these things we get to do. Look at all the whatever, yada, yada, yada. So just really speaking into him, I'll compliment him on, I'm like, oh, like he'll be telling me about a project that I did at work. And I'm like, that's incredible. Like you did so good. I know.
And listen, softness, femininity, not the enemy. There's nothing inherently wrong with any of that. There's nothing wrong with gentleness, homemaking, or behaving in traditional roles if they're chosen freely. If it's something that you genuinely want and it's not just being presented as the right or the only option. When those roles are the only ones that women are praised for, that's when we get a problem, because that's not really a choice then. It's a cultural script. Courtney often says things like, let your man lead, don't talk to the server, be mysterious, be elegant. And sure, some of that can be fun in a maybe like flirtation kind of way, I guess. But what I notice is how prescriptive it becomes. It's not, hey, I love it when you do X, Y, Z. It's, if you're a high value woman, you should expect this and your man will be wanting to do it. And that's, I think, where we start to tiptoe into the danger zone, because it's not just preference now, it's pressure.
When you nitpick him, when you mother him, it's unattractive. It's unattractive to him to be mothered. He doesn't want to be mothered by you. He wants to be in a romantic relationship with you. He wants to be flirty and having fun and be treating you like a princess and taking care of you and providing for you. When you're mothering him, that doesn't give him the position to take care of you because you're taking care of him. The more you think about him, the more energy and thought you put into him, the more thought and energy he will put into him. The more you think about yourself, the more he's going to think about you. So just anytime, I mean, I could give a million examples, but anytime you feel the need to comment on if has he eaten? Has he showered? Has he brushed his teeth? Do you need to schedule his haircut? When I take his dry cleaning, I will say, I'm taking your dry cleaning on Thursday. Like, this is a general announcement that you need to get your stuff into the bag, but I'm not going to be like, did you put your blue sweater in the dry cleaning bag so I can take it to the dry cleaner? No. He can figure that out. He's a grown man. If he's run out of underwear because he hasn't done his laundry, that's on him. You don't need to be concerned for him.
A lot of us who grew up in high control religious environments have felt this pressure before, but from the pulpit instead of from TikTok. We were taught that femininity means saying less, smiling more, making others comfortable, and avoiding anything that feels assertive. We didn't call it princess treatment, but we were steeped in it for sure. For some people, it might be sermons about submission, and for others, it was purity talks that made us feel like we were kind of like walking landmines. What I see in Courtney's content is someone who might genuinely believe that this is a great picture of what love and security looks like. And that makes sense given the messages that she grew up with. But when that gets projected out to millions of viewers, it turns personal coping into a public theology. And we can't talk about this without really addressing just the practicality or the impracticality of the whole aesthetic. Don't make eye contact with waitstaff. Don't order your own food. I get that this is supposed to be soft, but it veers into non-functional.
Like, I feel like I call it princess treatment because a queen and a princess are like two different things to me. The queen is in charge. She is bothered. She is busy. She is controlling. She is figuring things out. She is having to, control a kingdom. A princess, unbothered. She doesn't have to worry about a single thing. She is eating her pastries for breakfast. She's running around with her fluffy little white dog and she's getting her nails done and she's playing teacup with, I don't know. Like when I think of a princess and a queen, the energies are so different. A princess, doesn't tie her shoes. A princess is carried around on a fluffy pink pillow. But I don't know. I personally want to be treated like a princess. I want to be carried around I don't want to have to think too hard. I don't want to have to tie my shoes. If it's raining, I want to be carried through the puddle. You know, I want my lemon tea brought into me, and I don't want to be really in charge of anything.
She talks about not even opening your own door, and your husband, you know, it might take him a couple times of walking away from the car and then realizing he has to turn around and come get you. It feels like childhood again, like your child lock is on the door. Let's say your partner is sick or abusive or not around or doesn't make a ton of money. Maybe you're both working. What happens to the woman who's taught that her only job is supposed to be to look pretty and stay mysterious and be unbothered when real life is showing up and knocking at her door, when she has real pressure and it's just real life? Most women cannot invest the level of time and effort into daily Pilates and health food and being a housewife.
Let him order your dinner. Let him open the door. Let him pay for your food. Don't offer to pay. Don't try to open the door yourself. Don't try to insert and be like, I'm a cool girl. I'm a cool, what do they call those? The pick-me girls. Like, don't try to be cool and casual and make it easy for him. No, you are high maintenance. You have expectations. You require certain things to be the stunning princess that you are.
This is something that I think about a lot. How much evangelical and adjacent messaging has prepared women for a fairy tale, but not for a functioning life. And again, I'm not saying that traditional values are bad. If you are in a setup where you want to stay at home, you want to be extremely feminine, whatever that means for you, that's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But what I am saying is that when we don't equip women with autonomy and resilience, we are doing them a disservice. And we're doing a disservice to their boyfriends too, who now have these crazy expectations placed on them.
This one took me a little bit longer to figure out. I kept thinking he should be able to surprise me. He should know exactly what I want. I shouldn't have to lay it out for him. But since I started to tell him exactly what it is that I want, I'm so much happier. He loves to spoil me because he knows that I'm gonna love whatever he gets me. He knows I'm actually gonna use it. So let me show you what I do. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm editing this video right now while my dinner's in the oven, and I realized I did not explain to you what I'm about to show you. So the next couple slides is my Christmas wish list that I sent my husband this past Christmas. So here's the email I sent him. It was extremely detailed, listed out. I have the picture. I made a mood board to go with it, so I'll show you that in a second. But the item, I said it was 30% off right now for Black Friday. I gave him the link. The second one, I told him that, you know, you could go to Bergdorf's because they allow returns, the Row doesn't. Then I had the Chanel shoes, said you'll need to contact the Upper East Side store. I gave him the number. So little mood board that I made for him. You don't have to go this intense. I just think it's really fun to make these. So I sent him an image. I put an image, listed what it was, numbered 1 to 5, and then the email that accompanied this mood board had all those details. I've talked about this mood board in another video, so I won't get super into it, but for Valentine's Day, I sent him this mood board, and I just sent it to him in a text, and he responded with, oh, is this kind of the vibe and the feeling that you want? I was like, exactly. So I didn't send a long list of everything that I wanted.
Let's pause here and talk about her tone too. And I know that when we watch somebody like Courtney, it can be easy to roll your eyes. It can just all feel kind of absurd on the surface, but I want to introduce a different kind of viewpoint here. Instead of ridiculing Courtney, what if we asked, what pain is this performance trying to soothe? Because let's be honest, performative femininity is exhausting. It takes a lot of work to be soft all of the time, to have a foot skincare daily routine, to rely on your husband for every single decision, to cultivate a kind of helplessness that's interpreted by you as elegance. And for a lot of us, that's the trade that we were taught about. Give up your autonomy in exchange for approval. Don't challenge power, be quiet and good and beautiful. Maybe this content resonates with people not because they're brainwashed, but because they're burnt out. They're tired of striving and they want someone to just tell them what to do. And this brand of femininity, whether it's evangelical or TikTok influencer style, it does offer a kind of blueprint. It's just not a very sturdy one or a good one. The soft life or the more feminine aesthetic is a trend that we're kind of seeing everywhere right now, especially among among women who are exhausted by capitalism, hustle culture, and all of the expectations and emotional labor that just comes along with being a woman in today's world. The exhaustion is completely valid. The soft life says, what if we just stopped grinding all the time? What if we took naps and bought flowers and just let ourselves be taken care of? And it's an appealing fantasy, and it might be right for some people, but the tricky part is when that fantasy gets wrapped in gender essentialism, it completely becomes a different story then. It goes from rest is resistance to rest is reward for good feminine behavior. And now we're all of a sudden back in the church with better lighting and viral songs. You can see this in Courtney's content. It's not just be soft, it's be soft so that a man will take care of you. There is a transactional undercurrent here that's not healthy. If you perform the right kind of femininity, then you will be chosen, you'll be protected, you'll be rewarded. And if you're not, well, then maybe you just weren't soft enough or feminine enough or submissive enough. This is where it starts to mirror purity culture so closely, it's kind of disturbing. Do you guys remember those youth group talks where they said if you saved yourself, if you dressed modestly, submitted to God, your father, and your future husband, then you would be rewarded with a fairy tale marriage and lifelong love? Well, what we didn't realize at that time is that those messages weren't about actual faith. They were about control. And they were about making women feel smaller, making women quieter and easier to manage. It's about packaging obedience as value. Courtney's version of that sounds a little bit different, but it's familiar. Don't look at the waiter, don't look at the tip jar, don't let him open things for you, make sure he orders for you, never open your own door. If he goes out of town, be sure to tell him you expect a reward when he gets home. There's nothing wrong with a partner helping out, of course, but when that help is presented as proof of a woman's worth or as a reward for proper behavior, that's not empowerment. That's reinforcement of a hierarchy. This is where it gets personal for a lot of us. Because for those of us who were raised in evangelical or Mormon or otherwise just high control religious groups, this content doesn't feel aspirational. It feels familiar. Like uncomfortably so. It's the same aesthetic, just dressed up in different clothes. When I watch Courtney's videos, especially the more recent ones, I'm not upset or angry. I just feel sad. I feel really sad for her because there is a performative quality to all of it. When someone feels secure, they don't feel like they have to overperform. But when you feel like your worth is always on the line, when your safety, love, and your belonging is completely conditional, then you learn to perform constantly. And that's kind of what it looks like. Somebody who might be deeply trying to feel okay in a world that's made women feel disposable. Someone who's built a brand around control because vulnerability is too risky. Someone who's learned that the safest way to exist is to look perfect and to stay silent. And I don't say any of that with judgment. I don't know her personally. I just see it with, the recognition of a pattern. Because so many of us, especially those of us who grew up in evangelicalism, we've kind of been there. Courtney's virality is not happening in a vacuum. This is a broader nostalgia movement that's going on. And it's people that are just longing for structure, for rules, and for certainty, which I get. Because when the world feels chaotic, and let's be honest, it is chaotic right now, people want clarity, and gender roles do offer a kind of script. If I just do X, Y, Z, then I'll be loved and safe and protected. But the problem is those scripts were never actually designed to keep anyone safe. They were designed to keep power stable, to keep certain people in control and other people obedient. And even when they feel comforting in the short term, in the long run, they often leave people hollow. So here's the big question. What does healthy femininity look like? We're not going back to rigid roles. So what are we doing instead? To me, it looks like having personal agency. It looks like the freedom to be soft or strong depending on what the situation calls for. Assertive or gentle, loud or quiet. Depending on the day, your mood, the circumstance, you don't have to be exactly one way all of the time. It looks like relationships where partnership is actually mutual, not performative, where being taken care of doesn't require silence, when femininity is expansive, not restrictive. It looks like women who order their own food and let someone open a jar for them if they can't get it open, who can hold boundaries and also hold hands. All right, to kind of wrap this up, Courtney isn't like the problem, so to speak. And this video isn't about tearing Courtney down. It's a video about asking why this kind of content resonates so deeply and what it might be covering up. It's about naming the religious and cultural roots that still shape so many of our ideas about women, even when we think we've moved on. And it's about reclaiming our stories, whether you stayed in church, left completely, or landed somewhere in between. Your femininity or masculinity is still yours. It doesn't belong to a trend or anyone else or a pastor, and it definitely doesn't belong to someone who's popping up in your TikTok algorithm. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. I know that this stuff can be really heavy to get through, but I also do think that these conversations really do matter. If you guys want to keep unpacking faith, gender roles, cultural identity with nuance and compassion, feel free to subscribe or double check to make sure that you are subscribed if you're not already. You can also just comment a white dove if you want to support but don't know what to say. And yeah, finally, if you guys want to see my videos early, there are membership, only videos that go out earlier than any of my other videos, so you'll get access to more videos and earlier videos if you do want to do a membership. I think it's like $1.50 a month or $2 a month. If you guys are in any sort of financial stress, please, spend that on your monthly latte. Don't subscribe to my channel, but if you guys want to support me, you can become a member. That's an option. Thank you guys so much again for watching. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I will see you next time.
I'm the type of woman gotta eat well. If I'm not feasting on the word, I'm not gonna sleep well. If I'm not staring at the scriptures, not gonna see well. And if I'm not praying like I should, I'm not gonna be well. Hey, take me out of this place for a minute. Got me seated up in heavenly places with Christ Jesus. I see the whole realm change like orange flames. Holy Ghost ball fogged up from the holy name. And my diet's like milk, bread, meat, wine. Dip it in the oil, you get line up online. Take me from myself, cause baby, I was on one. If it wasn't for the